into a lot of guys like Steve. And what I mean by a lot of guys like Steve is CEOs of companies. And they're not as successful as you all are. And they ask me, what do you think the secret is? And I want to share with you what I've answered so many of them over the years. 3 things on that page. One is understanding the vision and culture, the vision and the code within the company, the values within the company. I walk in and I'm in the back, and as I'm walking in, Steve's saying, for those of you that aren't aware of it, here's our value system. Do you know that the companies that aren't as successful don't have that presentation? They don't get it. It's all about send them out there, bring in the business, the heck with the values. The key is the values. And if we can walk and talk the values, we differentiate ourselves tremendously from the competition. Second item on the page is key people in key spots. In any business, it's key people in key spots. Gosh, I'm told, all right, Jack, come in and talk to us, and you're going to talk before lunch, and then in the afternoon, we're going to do recognition. But not at Select. They can't wait to recognize people even before recognition because they get key people in key spots. Third, the third item is culture. I'm going to refer to you guys. That's a male and a female. All right? Think Philly and Rocky, and you'll get there. All right. So I grew up in Philly, and so this guy thing is with me. But listen, we go out and make calls. We talk to people. We go into their offices at times. You know, you go into a company, you walk into a company, and how long does it take before you get a sense of their culture? Huh? 2 seconds. Less than a half hour? Oh, yeah. So I say to companies all the time, CEOs, I say, so if you can get a culture in less than 30 minutes, then I guess what you're saying is that you can smell a culture. And so I always ask a CEO, how does your culture at your company smell? Is it smelling good? Or does it stink? You're around that corner coming into this hotel, and this culture is vibrating. And each one of us in our stores needs to have a similar type of culture and create and spend time. If you spend time creating a positive, energized culture, it manifests itself in so many ways. I worked at a grocery store when I was 17 years old as a stock boy, and it was a Pantry Pride in South Jersey. And I stocked grocery shelves. And it was a union shop, and so you had to take a 15-minute break mandatory every 4 hours. So I'm coming back from my mandatory break, and I notice this woman is crouched over like this. She's got to be 80 years old. She's in the produce aisle, and she is having a very disagreeable and animated conversation with the vegetables. So I came over to her and I said, excuse me, ma'am, it looks like you're out of sorts. Is there something that I can do to help? And she said, Sonny, I came in here for fresh spinach, and there's no fresh spinach. I looked, the shelf had fresh spinach, and there wasn't any. So I said, well, why don't I go back through those double doors over there where they keep all the extras, and I'll see if we've got some back there. And she said, that would be great. So I went back there. Now, I have to tell you, she didn't know this, but that was a different union. And I didn't work in produce. And at 17 years old, the only spinach that I knew up till then popped out of a can on Popeye. So it better be a box back there saying fresh spinach or I'm hosed. So I go back there, I can't find this fresh spinach. I come back out, I said, is that all you did was come in looking for fresh spinach? And she said, no, I have other things to shop for. And I said, how long do you think it might take you? And she said, I'll probably be here a good 30 minutes. I said, oh, great. Go and get the rest of your things. I'll have your fresh spinach for you. Now, she looked relieved and walked on down the aisle, but I was a bit in a panic because I had about 30 minutes to get some spinach. So I ran out to my car in the parking lot, and I drove 1.5 miles to the ShopRite, one of our competitors. And I bought 6 bags of fresh spinach, and I came rushing back into the store, and she was standing in line. And I said, how does this look? And she says, that looks perfect. And I said, well, how many bags would you like? And she said, oh, I just need 1. I said, why don't we do this? Take 2, and it's on us. We really appreciate your loyalty as a customer. Thanks for shopping here. Now, you know, in some cultures, I would have been fired for that. I didn't have authority to do it. I didn't have authority to leave the store, didn't have authority to get my car, didn't have my authority to buy the spinach of the competitor, and certainly didn't have authority to give it away. Had I been fired that day, gosh, it would have been a great day for me, because it would have released me to go find a company that would reward and recognize that behavior, just like people are going to be rewarded and recognized this afternoon here for similar types of acts. And so, fortunately, by the way, I worked for a boss that said, that's what we want reflected here. In fact, I had 18 years old, I had hire fire responsibility for over 200 people. I give that presentation to every one of my companies over the years and every one of my locations, and this is how I finish it. I say to each person in each one of those stores, look for the opportunity to give the spinach away. Now, I could give a presentation on empowerment, but nobody probably would remember it. But 6 months later, I go into one of your stores and say, anybody got any good spinach stories for me? I saw spinach stories already this morning. Look for the opportunities to go the extra mile. Buy yourself a money bag. This is what a money bag looks like. And let me show you what's in the money bag. Real quick, I have my thank you cards and envelopes in my money bag. And then I have my business cards in my money bag. I have a blue felt tip pen because that's all I do my thank yous in is blue felt tip. And over the years, people have recognized the blue felt tip pen. I have a ballpoint pen because if you write in blue felt tip on the envelope and it rains, it may not get where you want it to go. That was a bad experience that I learned from. I have my dated old 37-cent stamps, so that meant that I had to go out and buy 2-cent stamps. Now let me show you the process. You know, we go out in the field and we call on a customer, right? And you do the business card exchange. So when I'm doing the business card exchange, after I leave, the first thing that I do is that I go outside into the car and I take out my PDA and I put them into my database and I thank them for the time they gave me and I reconfirm what we agreed we were going to do, who was going to do it, and by what date. Here's a great tip. Never have a sales call end without creating a next action step. Because if you don't create a next action step, the next time you call in the office, you're just starting all over again. So I reconfirm the details, and I send them the email before I left the parking lot. The next thing I do is I take this bag out, and I write them a handwritten note, I stamp it, and put it in the mailbox right there in front of the building, in hopes that it'll be there the next day, because I don't think the competition is going to do that. Now, I got to tell you, I call this a money bag because I've tracked annually over $100,000 of income to just this bag. Watch. I'm calling on the 4th largest company in their field in the world in Pittsburgh, at 45 minutes outside of the city. And they're in the promotional products business, and the president of the company is who I'm meeting with, and 3 EVPs. We spent an hour together and we exchanged business cards. And as soon as I left the building, I went out into the parking lot and I put all 4 people into my database, and I sent them each an email. Incidentally, I didn't send an email to 4 people on a distribution. I sent a separate one to each one because the different people had different hot buttons. A little bit more inconvenient, but the CEO wasn't as interested in some of the things that the sales manager was interested in. So I quickly sent them 4 emails. Then I took my money bag out. I wrote them a handwritten note. That was in October, a year and a half ago. December 14th, 3 months later, I had the opportunity to address 175 of their salespeople for a full day of sales training in Pittsburgh. They brought them in from all over North America. The CEO of the company got up and he had an introductory kind of thing that he could read. He said, I'm not going to do that. He gets up. I'm in the back of the room. He gets up in front of his 175 salespeople and said, this guy, the Jack Daly, he's got a great background. He's going to teach us a whole lot. But I want to tell you a story. We met him 3 months ago. He came into our office and met with the 4 of us. We spent an hour and we exchanged business cards. And then he left, and I went back to work, and I'm sitting at my desk. And the computer on my desk did one of those little chimes, you know, you got an email that just arrived. So I glanced over, and I went, it's an email from Jack Daly. That guy's still got to be in the building. And so he got up out of his chair and he went next door to the VP of sales and he said, did you get an email from Jack Daly? And he said, I don't know, I haven't looked at my computer. He said, turn it on, I want to see. He said, look, you got one too. He still has to be here. We all got them. They were all different. And then the very next day, we got a handwritten note from him and I said, that's it. Call that guy up, hire him. We're bringing all of our people in here in December, spend a day with him. If the only thing my sales guys learn is the money bag, it'll be worth his fee. I've spoken to that company since then 3 times.